is Apollo Saturn Launch Control. We passed the 6-minute mark in our countdown for Apollo 11. The flight to land of the first men on the moon. Ignition sequence start. 6.
The Apollo 11 moon landing is arguably one of the greatest achievements in human history. In addition to being a culmination of centuries worth of research into math, physics, and material sciences, this tremendous act of leaving home has inspired generations of authors, filmmakers, and game designers who use their works to explore the depths of the universe. Yet with games, for as broad as they have been in their scope of visiting the far reaches of space, there's very little to experience in the actual journey. Open your space map, confirm your waypoint, and off you go. The Mexico-based developer Squad want to change that with Kerbal Space Program. Kerbal Space Program is an open-ended simulation in which you design and engineer a variety of spacecraft and use them to take the Kerbals, a race of hapless space explorers, to the stars. While you can purchase and play Kerbal Space Program today, the game isn't finished yet. As part of Steam's Early Access program, which lets users try games while they're still in development, the game currently works as a purely open sandbox. There's no economy, there are a scant handful of tutorials and objectives, and while the menu suggests that the career mode will be available, there isn't one yet. What's left is an incredibly deep simulation system of space travel. In the game, you'll need to design mechanically sound vehicles capable of leaving the gravitational hold of Kerbin, your homeworld in the game. From there, it's up to you. You can establish orbits around the home planet, commit to a moon landing mission, or colonize other planets in the solar system. Deploying vehicular rovers, building an orbital space station, and research satellites are all possible within the scope of Kerbal Space Program. You'll begin by building a spacecraft, and these come in two essential flavors: rockets and spaceplanes. Rockets are an easier place to start both in terms of design and actually getting your Kerbals off the ground. There's a tutorial to guide you through your first ship, but the process is very intuitive, owing a lot of its design to games like Spore or The Sims. While you won't have to worry about the cost of your craft, in the Early Access program you have limitless resources, you still need to make sure that the craft has enough lift to overcome its weight, and is built solidly enough that it will survive its journey through the atmosphere, while having enough fuel to make the journey. The process may seem daunting at first, but the results are pretty comical when you fail, and thrilling when you succeed. The simulation in Kerbal Space Program is quite deep, but there are a few key tutorials to help you along the way. Through these, you'll learn the basics of piloting your spacecraft, the principles of entering orbits, and establishing approach and exit trajectories. That sounds like a lot to take in, and while the game leaves a tremendous amount of control up to you, it provides plenty of helping hands along the way. Within hours of your first failed launch, don't be too surprised to find yourself thinking about the periapsis and apoapsis of your orbit, or whether you should be firing your rockets prograde or retrograde to get to the moon. As you explore the simulation further, what looked before like a map of looping, elegant curves turns into orbits and approach trajectories, and that's when the realization hits you: you're doing rocket science. There's a lot to take in here, but the levity of the game's presentation softens the blow of your inevitable failures. There are a handful of scenarios and challenges that you can complete if you desire some additional structure, and hopefully there will be more of these as the game's development progresses. Kerbal Space Program may feel every bit as daunting as the first steps that humans made into space, but in doing so, it celebrates that achievement in ways few other games have. Kerbal Space Program is available on Steam for PC, Mac, and Linux. You can learn more about the game at KerbalSpaceProgram.com or from our continued coverage here at GameSpot.